Welcome to One on One, where we'll connect with some of the key decision makers and influential executives in sports media and technology. Today's guest is a friend, a former colleague, Boris Gartner. Boris is the Chief Executive Officer of LaLiga North America, a joint venture between Relevent Sports Group, the premier international soccer events and media business in North America and Asia, and LaLiga, Spain's top-flight soccer competition and professional association. Previously, Boris served as the COO for Grupo Televisa's content division, the largest Spanish content language producer in the world, where he was responsible for corporate strategy, business management, and company operations for the group's content unit. Prior to joining Televisa, he was part of the founding team that launched Fusion Media, a joint venture between Univision Communications and the Walt Disney Company ABC Television Group, serving as Chief Strategy Officer and later as Chief Operating Officer. Boris has been recognized as leader in Sports Leaders Under 40, and most recently, Sports Business Journal's 40 Under 40. Boris, first let me congratulate you on the Sports Business Journal 40 Under 40 award. It's truly an amazing accomplishment. What does this honor mean to you?
First of all, Rick, good to see you and good to be chatting. As always, enjoy our conversation. So thank you for having me. And let me tell you, I think that it's very humbling, to be honest. I wake up every day and do the hard work because I believe in it and because of the drive of constantly challenging myself to achieve new things. So even though I don't do it for the recognition, it's a good validator. It motivates me to work harder and keep on pushing. Abe and the whole team at SBJ are a driving force in sports media. So it's an honor to be recognized by them and to be part of such a talented group of people.
Boris, how did you get to your role at LaLiga North America?
Let me take multiple steps back and give you a little bit of context. The first thing, and you mentioned it a little bit in the introduction. LaLiga North America is a joint venture between LaLiga and Relevant Sports. It all came about, after 2017 when Relevant organized the first El Clásico that was happening outside of Europe in Miami. It was a resounding success, brought a classic rivalry to fans of soccer in general, but La Liga fans in an amazing venue like Miami, and it was a hit. And that opened the eyes of La Liga executives, which they of course understood the opportunity in the American market for the growth of the sport, but specifically what Relevant could bring, just to fuel that growth and accelerate it beyond what they could do on their own. So they launched an RFP that was very competitive. It was a long process, and Relevant ended up winning the business. They lasted about a year or so to put the agreement together, and in August of 2018, I was brought in to run that joint venture. So it's a 50-50 joint venture for 20 years, and it covers basically all the aspects of the business that La Liga wants to do in the territory. It initially started with US and Canada. We have since expanded it to include Mexico and Central America. So we do their media rights deals, sponsorship, licensing, merchandising, grassroots, basically, again, anything that La Liga wants to do now in this expanded territory of Canada, US, Mexico, and Central America has to come through us. So with that context, I'll give you a little bit of my background as you were mentioning. I've been working on the media side of the business and specifically focused on Hispanic media in the US and Latin America for more than 10 years. And when both Relevant and La Liga were looking for somebody to run this operation and to help, execute and operate what they envisioned, they were looking for somebody that had the media experience running a joint venture, from a Hispanic background, bilingual, and I think I checked and ticked all those boxes. So the process was, it all starts with the people, but Steven Ross, Danny Silman, the guys that run Relevant Sports, and also on the La Liga side, Javier Tebas and Oscar Mayo, they're just great people. So we had very quick conversation. We aligned on the vision that they had for the operation, what I wanted to do, and it's been a great 4 years. I'm gonna be 4 years in this job in August. It's been a great process. It's been fascinating. They've allowed me to do what I've wanted to do, and I think we've delivered on the results, even beyond what they were expecting. So it's been a great relationship and a great process.
Obviously, La Liga, its teams have amazing global brand awareness with some of the best football stars in the world. You just finished $2 billion worth of media deals with the Walt Disney Company, ESPN, with Televisa and Sky. What are you doing specifically to build the brand in the U.S. now?
So, and just to give context on that value that you're giving, those are the two largest media rights deals that La Liga has done outside of Spain. So it's been transformational not only for the league, but I think that for the sport in these two regions or key regions of growth for them. So we have two targets in mind when we think about building La Liga and building the brand in the territory. The first one, of course, fans first and foremost. We need to create awareness for soccer in general, and specifically if you think about the U.S., it's a growing sport. It has been growing massively. It has a great opportunity for further growth between now and 2026 when the World Cup is played here. So we need to grow the sport, and with that, the league will grow. Um, so that's the first thing. Then the second thing is we need to get the product closer to the fans here, and that means many different things. We built a production studio that's generating content specifically for fans here in the region that is contextualized and organic to how they follow the sport and the sports industry in general. And that has been important to, again, get the product closer to them. We've been supporting the teams coming and playing games here. Relevant event business historically has been that, bringing the top European clubs to play here in the summer. And we've been pushing since we started this partnership to bring official league matches to the U.S. We strongly believe that will help grow the sport in general and La Liga's presence here. So that's the first bucket. The second bucket is the sports and media industry. Because in the same way that we need to get closer to the fans and grow the brand with them, we need to grow the awareness of the sport and the league in general with people that are in the business, in the industry, that are making decisions to invest in growing the sport. Um, and so that starts with explaining why soccer matters and why it has grown to where it is today and why it will only continue to grow. It brings a highly desirable audience, primarily young, diverse, multicultural, in the case of La Liga specifically, a key Hispanic demographic that I think everybody wants to reach and engage with. Um, and in general, explain why investing in soccer and in this audience is a good business. So we have those two. Let's say a traditional B2C and then a B2B approach to that, and everything that we do falls into one of those two categories.
But we're having this conversation on the heels of the MLS just announcing with Apple a $2.5 billion digital rights deal. What were your thoughts when you saw that yesterday?
Many thoughts, but the first one is that seeing that a soccer property is like the MLS, but not just specifically the MLS, is getting the attention and the investment at those levels that have been reported and from companies like Apple. It's just a validator for the industry as a whole, and it's great. I think that the more that we see companies committing and investing in soccer again, specifically leading up to the 2026 World Cup, is just gonna continue to help position and solidify the sport. So just from that perspective, it's great, and hopefully some of the other soccer properties that will come up for rights tenders in the next, few months, continue to see that lift. Um, the second point of it is I do think it's a very interesting structure of a deal specifically for the American industry, sports industry, where you had historically the local, in market deals and then separate from the national deals. The fact that they've been able to pull everything together into one national broad deal, I think it's going to be very telling of what happens with that specific model. As it relates to some of the other leagues and sports. Um, and hopefully, they're able to bundle that streaming deal with solid linear deals that would allow them to actually keep the scale and the reach that Univision and ESPN were providing. So I think that's going to be key. That it's not uh, that it's easier for soccer fans and for MLS fans to actually go and watch the games and not more complicated. That I think that's going to be a key piece of it. I think the simplicity of it all, that you're just going to be able to subscribe to one service and get all the games, it's a start, but you still need to hit the massive reach that you can, as of today, only get with broad linear distribution.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Game changing deal. Let's shift a little bit to kind of, mentorship. I know that's been important to you, both mentoring as well as being mentored by others. Who has been a mentor that you've turned to, and what does mentorship mean to you?
I've had a great support network throughout my career, and I think that has been very important to get where I am today, but also to shape me as a person and as a professional. I've been able to work for and alongside incredibly talented executives that have been a key part of that, definition of who I am. I think it's very important to have, kind of formal mentorships and what those types of relationships can do for you, but also what you can take from specific experiences that you live and go through with certain people. It is as important to have somebody or a group of people that you can call on when you need guidance, advice, etc. But also to be smart enough to understand specific situations that you might be going through, and learning and understanding how people react to them and how they behave. It tells a lot, when you're going through tough um, moments and situations specifically. It tells a lot about people, and what you can take from that is incredibly important. Um, those tough situations that you live with a close group of people have been the most important learning experiences of my life. So I think that understanding kind of the two ways in which you learn and grow personally is important, and then also paying it forward. And you were mentioning it with the question, for me, finding those support networks has been key, but also understanding that I've been very lucky to be in specific situations where I've been able to build those networks, and that I have to turn around and do the same for other people. I'll tell you a specific story. When I was at Televisa, and let's say that our time had come to an end, and it had been a rough 18 months with a ton of travel, a ton of pressure work. I had at that moment a young girl that I hadn't seen a lot because my family was living in Miami. I was living in Mexico, going back and forth, and I decided that I needed a break. um, on my flight from Mexico to Miami, I got up my phone and decided that I was gonna email 20 people, and the cap was 20 people. And I was gonna tell them, it's been great meeting you over the past X number of years, either at Univision, Televisa, Fusion, etc. I'm taking a break. Gonna be focusing on my family and on my personal well-being. And I sent that email to, again, 20 people, no agenda, no nothing, short email, very personal, to people that I thought were important for me during the my career and going forward. Um, and the opportunity with Relevant and LaLiga actually came up from one of those emails. of one of the people that I emailed, Adam Mendelsohn, um, former TPG executive, now runs one of the most successful PR and communication firms out of LA. And he actually sent me an email back. I wasn't coming back from the World Cup in Russia. That was part of my sabbatical, which that's another whole story, but a great experience, by the way. Um, and he emailed me back and said, what are you thinking? What are you doing? I said, I'm not thinking about anything. I'm taking time off. I have no rush. And he said, what do you want to do? And I said, I don't know what I want to do. I'm very clear on what I don't want to do. I said, you should meet these people. They're great, good persons, just meet with them. LaLiga and Relevant are trying to do this joint venture. And I immediately took him on it, flew to New York and met with Relevant, and then it's the rest of the story that I told you at the beginning. But that's just a quick example of just building and cultivating those personal networks. I think it's tough when you uh, try to reach out to somebody and asking to be a mentor that people take that seriously. So you don't do that necessarily, or at least I don't do it in that way. You just build relationships and cultivate them, and it might take years. And if you're constantly checking in and not only wanting to take but also to give, that's what really builds that support network.
Well, having known you almost 10 years now, I can honestly say that you are one of the best partnership relationship builders out there. You are authentic, you're genuine, and I think that is a reflective on your success as well because you do build deep, trusted relationships. So, which is critically important for business success, but also for personal success. So
And I
I really commend you on that.
thank you, Rick, and you've been one of those great partners throughout the years. But I do honestly believe that it might be true from all industries, but specifically in the sports and the media industry, it's a very small industry.
It is.
Um,
It is
and
small.
and and things shape in very specific ways, and I've always thought that you always have to take kind of the long view. You never know where somebody's gonna be next, and building those relationships and knowing that to your point, you're being genuine about it. People do really care about those things.
Yeah, listen, as someone who has the last 3.5 years kind of reinvented myself as an executive recruiter, um, it's the relationships that I was able to build over 30 years that have allowed TurnkeyZRG and myself to see success. It is those trusted relationships.
100%.
So,
And that in your case specifically, if I may, um, you are a genuine guy that people trust. You're straightforward, and that helps, specifically with the work that you're doing, um, because it's there's a lot of, I don't want to talk about specific companies or people, but in the role that you are, there's a lot of people that are just pirates, to put it in a
yeah,
way.
we
Um,
listen.
so
Turnkey. One of the reasons I came here was because Turnkey is not transactional. We truly are about building relationships and not knowing where the business will come from. But when it does come, it comes authentically. It comes in a real way, and that's why we have a tremendous amount of repeat and deep relationships, including with Mr. Ross, by the way,
yeah,
and the Miami Dolphins and the Rise organization. So um, shift a little bit here. What challenges, the business challenges, personal challenges you talked about, you facing kind of this crossroads in your personal life where you had a young child, you had a family that you were kind of being detached from with travel. You made the conscious decision to say enough's enough. I need to focus. What has been a really difficult part of your career, and how have you persevered through it outside of the experience you just told us about?
yeah, I think that the most difficult parts of my career have also been the most rewarding. Um, and and it's dealing with uncertainty. Uncertainty is really tough. People react to it differently, but for me personally, and I think this is true probably for many, it's difficult and scary, but it also presents the biggest opportunities for growth. I've learned how to embrace it, and actually look for it, because that uncertainty makes you constantly think that you need to keep on pushing, and not to be comfortable. So I'll give you another example, on top of the previous one that I mentioned. But after graduating from business school, I went and worked for a real estate investment company that was based in Miami. It had operations in Miami, New York, and Panama, Mexico, Colombia, all over. It was August 2008, right in the middle of the financial crisis that was caused largely by the real estate industry, or affected primarily uh, because of the real estate industry. It was one of the most instructive and educational moments of my career. We were changing business models every week. It went from doing pre-construction sales to buying properties from banks, then from courts, then put into their groups of foreign buyers to buy portfolio of properties, and then expanding uh, to other regions. I stayed there for 3 years, learned a lot, but it was not only that specific experience and the industry, but also the people that I was working with. And so that taught me specifically the importance of being flexible and adapting and moving, and not getting bogged down by kind of the roadblocks that we were hitting. But all right, reinvent this again. Not working? All right, pivot and do it again. So it was a ton of uncertainty, and again, just coming out from school and trying to establish myself in the US, after moving from Colombia. But I would do it all over again. And then on the second one, which I mentioned, with moving to Mexico City to work for Televisa, on a close collaboration between Univision and Televisa, uh, basically doing a full reorg of the operation down there, trying to get the two companies together to what we see today, the combination and the merger between the two entities. I had a newborn baby. It was intense, complicated, um, but it taught me the importance of persistence, commitment, and staying true to your values. Again, at that point, it was a ton of uncertainty. I was burned, and I decided to take that, some time off and focus on my family. Um, but still, again, would do it again without a doubt. Met a ton of people, um, learned a lot about the business. So again, I think that for me personally, it has worked. I know that there's people that have less appetite for risk and uncertainty. For me, that uncertainty has always paid off.
What's the best advice that you have to offer for those just embarking on their careers and wanting to get into sports?
I think it's a tough one, because I think it's very personal. So just speaking from my personal experience, um, work harder than everybody else in the room. That I still believe it. Doesn't matter the position that you end up getting to. Um, if you're the one that's working harder and showing that you can be reliable and a trusted colleague, that's always gonna work. Um, the other one, take the opportunities that you're given. If someone gives you a chance, go for it without hesitation. Um, I think that sometimes when you're just starting your career, you tend to overthink a lot of those decisions. And early on, the more experience that you can get, and the more varied experiences that you can go for. Again, if somebody's giving you the opportunity to do something new without thinking about it. I grew up in Colombia, went to school there. I moved to the US to do an internship. Nobody from my class that year took an internship outside of the country. And there were great, amazing, comfortable opportunities to work in banking and the oil industry and pharmaceuticals. But I didn't want to have that path. And I took an opportunity to do an internship in Miami at a bank there, that actually required an investment. It was an unpaid internship in a foreign country. I had to pay for everything, and my parents were very supportive, so I'm grateful for that. But it was a little bit of a stretch, but I thought that that was my opportunity to actually get outside of the bubble that I had grown up in. Um, the third one, and we talked about it, but finding a close group of mentors, cultivate those relationships, and build those relationships. Be consistent and be uh, true to your values, and not only take but also try to give. I cannot tell you the amount of really close relationships that I've had where I've been helpful to them, not only them to me, and people really value that when you're a giver as well and not only a taker. Um, and I think two more, but and we touched on it. The media and sports industries are small, so when you're doing a deal, uh, just do something that will make both parties feel good. If somebody's walking away from a deal feeling that they got screwed or you were too hard, it'll come back. So I think in everything that we've done, not only at La Liga, but before with Univision, with Disney, with Televisa, that has been my principle. You want repeat deals, and you want to build those relationships. So don't overextend, and try to get, a deal that will leave somebody feeling not great. And then the last one, pay it forward. I think that as you grow in your career and your influence grows, you got to understand why and how you got where you got, and pay it forward. Um, Give opportunities to people, and be willing to spend time in helping other people grow and get the opportunities that you got.
Well, I think those are all incredibly valued pieces of advice. This is a small industry, and you never know who you're going to meet going up or going down. So being authentic, being true to yourself, having
And
integrity, as you're talking
respectful
about.
and
Exactly, exactly. Boris, I want to thank you for spending the time with us today. Appreciate it greatly. Thanks for joining us on One on One. Until next time, I'm Rick Alessandri.
thank you so much, Rick.